pain kills motivation. You can be motivated to exercise and then experience a pain in your hand, in your elbow, in your shoulder, in your neck, in your back, and immediately stop in your tracks. And you can say, is this worth my time? Because I'm in pain. And when you reach that point of no return because you're experiencing pain, it's really hard to find the motivation to exercise a body part that's not in pain. That's why it's important when you have an injury or some area that's painful that's keeping you back to take a step back from the pain, literally, and start to ask yourself some simple questions. How can I move this area without pain? Can I move it up? Can I move it down? Can I move it left? Can I move it right? Can I move it in a circle? Can I move it while I'm moving other joints? So by taking a step back and getting some reality testing, checking for what you can and cannot do before you experience pain, starts to kind of create a map and a reference structure for around the movement and what its capabilities before triggering pain are. Say you have a certain exercise that you do and it causes pain while you experience the movement. Okay, is there a way to do the movement, to break it up, to do a shorter movement, less intense, therefore less weight, less volume, so less reps, so you can still achieve the movement but somehow stay away from the tipping point or the threshold, which would be accumulating a number of reps or using a certain amount of volume via the weight on the tissue. So you start to look at the ideas of what's triggering pain, and you start to map those out as references, and you start to go in with the idea and the mindset of, I'm curious what will cause pain and what won't. And I'm curious of, when I experience that pain, is it a dramatic, threatening pain? Oh, I can't do that. That really hurts. Is it shooting? Or is it a slow onset rather than a sudden? I can begin to feel it now. If I back off, it goes away. And what you start to amass is a set of information. You start to gather some information about the pain itself. So you switch the motivation from, I'm not motivated because I have pain, and therefore you switch the motivation to, when I experience this pain, I'm curious what the variables are. What does it look like exactly when I'm experiencing it? As you kind of hone in and you focus in on what actually triggers it and when, and you start to create some borders and boundaries around it, and you start to frame the pain. Now, by itself, framing the pain is empowering because you start to really learn exactly, like in a little bit of a box, when that pain gets triggered off. The power from framing the pain comes when you go for the next session to work out. Rather than experience the pain and become instantly demotivated, gosh, instead of wanting to go towards this exercise, it's the last thing I want to do. I'll pull out my phone, I'll call a friend, I'll check my watch. I might go, whatever the distraction from exercise is, you've been given permission because you experience pain. Rather, once you've framed the pain, the next time you go into that second session, you start to go in a little curious again. I wonder if it's the same frame around this pain as it was the last time I experienced it. And you start to notice, okay, between these two events of exercising, what's similar between them and what's different? What are their common factors, the common denominators, and what's different? Oh, between these two sessions, it always comes on quick. The difference between these two sessions are, I can move further the second session than I could the first. Now, what is the point of all this? The point of all this is to break it up, the category of pain. Put it into a more empowering perspective that, one, pain is transient, which means it will not last forever. Pain is also associated with movement, but it's also associated with not moving in that way. Therefore, you are not always experiencing pain. The purpose of this strategy and this type of exercise, in exercising what pain means and putting it into a nice box, is that you and I have plans to experience pain 1,000 times over. What destabilizes people when they experience pain is when they stare too much at the obstacle, too much at the pain, and it immobilizes them from moving past it. I have discovered that when somebody experiences pain physically, they somewhat act like that emotionally or mentally. So you can transpose this type of exercise into an emotional or a mental category. Okay, am I always afraid of X? Or whenever I don't achieve my goal, that's painful, sure. But I tried, or I attempted, or I made it this far down the path before I got knocked back down. This is the intervention point. So you start to build this mental model of how to approach pain as a generalized category from the physical form to the emotional form into this mental form and eventually into this whole kind of spiritual idea of what is pain but experience. And you start to look at it from this bigger picture and say, we are all experiencing multiple problems daily that are destabilizing our world or creating a new obstacle that we have to overcome. And instead of just looking at the roadblock in front of us, we start to become relentlessly optimistic because we start to begin to ask more questions in a curious form of, I wonder what sort of resource I have within me that will help me to stabilize this event or to overcome this obstacle or to find a solution. Or what would need to be true for this to be a net positive? Okay, that's an obstacle. What possibilities does that create? And this mindset starts to transpose into other areas of our lives, relationship with ourselves, our key partners and spouses, friendships, communities, businesses. It starts to really begin to take over when you start to break down this category of pain. And it begins that way. So instead of being motivated to stop by pain, I'm suggesting that pain becomes a trigger for curiosity. If you like this video, go to my YouTube channel, Dominic Sessa. Go to my website, dominicsessa.com. Follow me on Instagram. And I hope you like what I have to say, because I'm going to be saying a lot. Take care.